think it's very fitting that we're having the event today at the University of Ottawa because I was working on my master's at the University of Ottawa a number of years ago, and my advisor sends me an email. He said, oh, hey, there's a cryptographer, a very well-known cryptographer by the name of David Chom, who's going to be on campus today giving a talk about some verifiable voting system that he's come up with. Do you want to come and see the talk? And I said, sure. I knew of his work in mixed nets and digital cash, and so I was interested to hear about this voting business. So I went and I saw the talk, and he said, hey, I'm looking for graduate students to work on this. Would you be interested? I said, yeah. Voting sounds like a really cool thing to work on. Both from a social perspective and from a technological perspective, because like making voting trustworthy in an electronic setting turns out to be a really tough challenge, so it keeps you really busy. And that's really where I got started. And then in terms of a PhD, it was funny, my dad's a professor, and so I grew up in an academic sort of environment. And my whole life I said, I don't want to be a professor, I'm gonna go and go work in a Bay Area startup or something and make my fortune. But then as we went along in some of this election work and we were publishing papers and we were having successes doing pilot elections on some of this technology, I started to realize, hey, I kind of like this. And I remember it was actually Chom that took me out into a hallway one day and he said, hey, have you ever thought about doing a PhD? And I said, oh yeah, I've thought about it. He's like, well, so you're gonna do it? And I said, well, huh. So I went home that night and I talked to my wife and she said, wait a second, you're gonna be in school for another 4 years? And I said, is that okay? And fortunately she was supportive, and it was a really wonderful journey, and I'm so glad I took it. I'm so glad she supported me through the whole thing.